Chris here from AV Technology. I'm here with Sam from Listen Tech.
Hey Chris.
Thanks for your time, Sam.
Pleasure.
You're not a stranger to Australia.
I've been down a couple of times before, yeah.
Well, it's 40 degrees there now, so best avoided. But let's talk about Ori and Auracast. So you had, I guess, an announcement about the product this time last year, and now this year, have you shipped systems?
Yeah, so we're actually shipping now.
Yeah.
So we officially started shipping last week, but we have had beta sites running the systems for several months.
Yeah.
Getting that end user feedback and making improvements over the last 12 months since we announced the product. So it's really exciting that it's now actually available.
So are they, I guess before we get into the technology, are they ending up in places where your gear normally would end up, or how are you finding new markets?
Yeah, so hearing augmentation is pretty broad as the use cases, and so in Australia there are standards that mandate its requirement across multiple sectors. So I'd say it's areas that we've historically gone into, but we're seeing refreshed interest in hearing augmentation as we have the new technology.
Is Auracast compliant in Australia as a sort of installed hearing assistant?
So Auracast isn't called out in the Australian standards as a technology, but if we think about some of its features, so with Ori we have a transmitter and we have receivers. So in that element we're an equivalent to an RF or an IR system as a receiver-based technology. Where it becomes a little bit more of a grey area is the benefit of Auracast really is that it's directly compatible with hearing aids as a Bluetooth technology. So it's not called out in the same way in the Australian standards as the telecoil is. So I think it's going to be an interesting time as standards are updated to acknowledge the technology that's coming to market.
But a system like Ori could go in on top of an existing coil system if people have got an additional use case for it. What's an example? Like, say, if I'm in a public space, can I be using Ori in a different way than I would a regular T-coil induction loop?
Yeah, so there's a couple of venues in Australia that have taken Ori and put it on top of an induction loop system. So these are venues that historically have had Ampetronic product for years. They've also had an FM solution running at the same time so that they can cater for people that maybe don't have hearing aids, or they don't have the telecoil and they use headphones, or maybe they're using it for audio description for the blind. So as we are able to do multiple channels of audio, opens out additional use cases.
Gotcha. So can you just describe, I guess, what the offering is from Listen Tech now, and I guess sort of where it's without sort of giving up your roadmap secrets, but where is it clearly headed?
Okay, so I think we're heading towards more of a broad application base. So we're looking at more at assistive communication as opposed to just hearing augmentation. So Ori can be used for language interpretation, for example. It could be used for audio description for the blind, as I said before. In universities, neurodiverse students who benefit from having their direct feed. So there's just more use cases and applications that we're going into that we hadn't really considered before.
And I imagine that you've got receivers, but I can also use my phone if I had the device in my pocket.
Absolutely. So we've got the dedicated receivers, so you can receive the Auracast signal using the receivers. You can use that with a neck loop or headphones. But where it comes into its own is that third-party devices can connect. So a device needs to be what's called Auracast compliant. And so on the Bluetooth website, there's a product list of Auracast compliant products that you'll find multiple manufacturers listed. So people like Sennheiser Momentum earbuds, they can receive our signal. JBL earbuds, Creative headphones, GN ReSound hearing aids, Starkey, Popular. So there's lots of devices coming to market that are compatible, and really that reaches critical mass as to end users that are carrying their devices. It just adds more value to the offering.
So, thick question, but so the iPhone or the Android phone doesn't, or if I've got the earbuds that have got the Auracast some compliance or a feature,
Yep.
how do I receive, say, what Ori is sending me from just an earbud?
Yeah, so I think that's a very good point because one of the key advantages for Auracast is the fact that the audio never touches the phone. So you're using your phone as a UI for your personal device. The way in which different manufacturers have implemented Auracast varies. So with Samsung devices, for instance, you would go into your Bluetooth settings and you can then select an Auracast broadcast. That then tells your earbuds what to listen to. At that point, you can turn your phone off and you still receive audio. If you're using Sennheiser earbuds, you could use your iPhone or your Android phone, open the Sennheiser app, and instruct the same command to the device.
Yeah.
So it means we get low latency. It's one-way audio, so we're not having a return path. So it means that we use less battery and we keep our latency low.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess with your system, like the receivers, is there any limit to how many you can have in a system?
No, so it's truly a broadcast. So if you're in range,
Yeah.
you can pick up the signal. If we're covering a particularly large space, maybe a football stadium, cricket club, then we might have multiple radiators, and so we can scale the solution to suit the size of the space.
Cool. Well, this has been an interesting conversation and definitely a learn a bit. So thank you for that, Sam. Is there anything you want to say about from Listen Tech perspective about Ori and just from more of a company perspective than a technology perspective?
Yeah, so from a company perspective, we're quite excited about the opportunity this opens up for our historic partners and the additional use cases that become available. From a hearing assistance point of view, it means that previously our products, the kind of barrier to entry was having a pair of hearing aids. Whereas now, if somebody just struggles to hear at church, they can pick up a pair of earbuds for a couple of $100s, and it's a much quicker way of them benefiting from the solutions that we're providing.
That's right, and no one need ever know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.